Well, good afternoon, everybody. So today I don't have to cook supper. I have lots of leftovers from the last couple days. So I'm going to try focaccia. I have made it once before. A lot of the recipes that you will see on Pinterest or YouTube require an overnight rise, and I really want it for supper tonight. So I found one recipe, looks really good, and that's what I'm going to try today. Come on into my kitchen. Welcome. So I'm starting out with 480 milliliters of water. This is going to be somewhat of a sticky dough, and I'm just going to mix it in the bowl. And it is a yeast dough, but it uses a lot of the same 480. Wow, that was right on. That's incredible. So it calls for 2 grams of dry yeast, which doesn't seem like a lot to me, but see how much is in a teaspoon. I'm going to put a whole teaspoon in just because I want it to hurry. I'm going to try to move this so you can see this a bit once I get it mixed up. And to that, I'm also adding 3 tablespoons of oil. All I'm going to use, it calls for olive oil. And that's pretty much what I always use. So stir that yeast in first. And 3 tablespoons of oil. One, 2, 3. So I'm going to let that sit while I do the flour. So again, I'm using my scale so that I have accurate measurements, and thankfully this recipe was written that way. So now I'm adding 600 grams of flour. So I hope everybody had a good holiday. So the thing I liked about this recipe was that it looked really bubbly and fluffy and crispy on the outside. But like I said, I haven't tried it before, so we'll see. The other thing that was a little bit of a surprise to me, first of all, was the stretch and folds that we're going to do. And I guess that's maybe because you don't knead the dough, you just mix it. And the other was, okay, once I get this mixed, I'm going to leave it for 15 minutes. And then I'm going to add the salt. And I'm not sure why they waited until then to add the salt. Some people say that salt can inhibit the growth of yeast, and maybe at the beginning they wanted it to just be the water and the flour and all that before they added salt. I don't know, that's a guess. So I'm bringing 2 utensils. So one is my Danish dough whisk, which I love. In the video they use a spatula to work it all in and stir around and scrape the side of the bowl. I'm going to start with the spatula because that's what they did, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to add my wet ingredients to the dry. And we're just going to mix. This is definitely going to be a wetter dough than I typically work with, but I think that's what makes it so light and fluffy and crispy. I tried a new sourdough yesterday, and I added just my regular sourdough bread that I make, but I added a bunch of oats and seeds and stuff to it. And it was a little wetter than it typically is, and actually I found it rose better. It was lighter, it was a little more airy, and yet it still wasn't too sticky to work with. So I think I'm going to start making my sourdough a little wetter as well in the actual recipe, not the starter. I'm keeping the dry starter, and I'll try the next time I make that multigrain one to do a video with it as well. Okay, so we're just getting this all worked in, making sure there's no dry parts, kind of sort of kneading it in the bowl with the spatula. This is what you call a shaggy dough, when it's kind of stringy and messy like this. It's just kind of folding it all into itself. You know, I really don't know, again, I've said it before, I don't know why I do new recipes, especially on camera, but you just get the inspiration, and it's a little bit quiet here right now, and I don't always get that, so I figured I would go ahead. So, I'm gonna dirty that. Okay, so I'm gonna cover it, and I just use my little shower cap thingies, and I'll see you in 15 minutes. Okay, so we've got the first 15 minutes, and I put it out on the, oh no, now I have to put the salt in. So I need 12 grams. So I'm gonna put about a teaspoon of salt. Work that in. Personally, I would have rather put it in at the beginning, and I think I will from now on, because it'd be easier to get it mixed in properly. You can already see the difference in the texture of the dough just from sitting. So I'm just using my cutting board. It's a silicone mat, and there's two sides to it. One is textured, the other is smooth to help it stay stuck to the counter is the purpose, but I'm actually putting it on the smooth side. I hate cleaning the counter from these doughs. So you just lift it up, kind of shake it, put it back down. We do that a few times. And that is a stretch and fold, sort of. You can do them different ways. This is just one of the ways. It is quite sticky. But like I said, I think that's what makes it so airy and light and crisp when you cook it. Now I'm gonna wash my bowl, and now we're gonna cover the dough and let it sit for another 15 minutes. And go ahead and oil your fingers, or you can wet your fingers if it's too sticky to work with. Just trying to get it into the size that I can get this bowl over it without it sticking. I should have used a bigger bowl. There we go. So another 15 minutes, and we're going to do this again. Okay, so it's 15 minutes later. I'm now going to grease my bowl. Guess you have to take the lid off. So I grease it quite liberally. And I'm going to grease my hands as well. And I'm going to do the last stretch and fold. It is very sticky. I love working with dough. I'm sorry I didn't get it on camera very well. So you're basically lifting it in the middle, putting it on the bottom half and letting the top half fold over on itself. It's tightening up now because I'd already done it a few times, but I wasn't sure if you got to see it. I'm just forming it in a ball, putting it in the greased bowl. I'm going to turn it so that it's greased all over because you don't want it to dry out. And I'm going to cover it, and it now is going to rise for an hour and a half. I love these shower cap things. Okay guys, I'll be back in an hour and a half. Okay guys, so the timer's gone off, and now we're going to put this on the pan. Again, you go through a lot of olive oil with this. I think that's also what makes it crispy. So I'm just gonna grease the pan pretty well. I'm using stoneware, and I'm just not really sure what size to use. I had a 9x13 greased, but I wasn't sure. I don't really want it too thick. I want it thinner. So this is what it looks like now. I'm sorry, the light's really bad. It's getting darker outside. So I'm gonna put this in the pan. It feels so nice and fluffy. Stuck to my shirt. So I'm just going to gently stretch this, and I'm not trying to get it all the way at this point, just almost. And so now we're going to cover this for 40 minutes, and then we come back. So we're going to put some oil on top of this before we put the plastic on so that it doesn't stick to the plastic. Just smooth it out a little bit, cover it all so nothing sticks. Put the plastic on, and for 40 minutes, I hate working with this stuff, honestly. Such a pain. And it's not wide enough for this pan to totally seal, but that's okay. We're just trying to keep it from drying out. And at least the dough is covered. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay guys, here we go. Okay, that came off nice. So we want the dimples and we want to get this stretched out. You want to make lots of holes. You want to try not to go through the dough, which I've already done. You're supposed to drizzle more oil on top. I'm going to go a little light because there's already a ton of oil in here. Sorry, I've just been vacuuming and stuff in between steps. Okay, and then I'm also putting on some kosher salt. Just say about a teaspoon. Just lightly sprinkle. And I have some fresh rosemary from my garden. Well, my indoor garden now. It's actually doing better in the house than it did outside all summer. And you can put whatever toppings you want. You don't have to put anything. And I'm putting a little bit of garlic powder. I would typically use fresh garlic, but I don't have a lot left. And there's other dishes that I feel it needs it. Okay, the bell's ringing. This is going in the oven. So I have it on 460. It was Celsius measurement in the recipe I looked at, and it was 240, and it said that 240 is the same as 464, so I'm doing 460. Now it said to put it on the bottom shelf, I think for 20 minutes. I'll check that. And then we're putting it in the middle shelf. Okay, I'll check that number. Good thing I checked, it was 10 minutes. Okay, so timer's going off. We're going to switch this to the upper level. That's what it looks like right now. Starting to brown and puff. And then we'll do about 12 minutes on the top level. Actually, I'm going to do 10. I can always put it back in for 2 more minutes. Okay, I am a little winded. I just finished cleaning, mopping, vacuuming and mopping the floors downstairs. I don't know where all the dirt comes from. It just seems to appear. I don't know how my dog has any hair left on his back because it's everywhere all the time, every day. How do they not go bald? You know? Humans would give anything to be able to reproduce hair like that. Anyway, so we had a lot of people here in the weekend. I had it cleaned before they came, and then I didn't really clean much while they were here, just kind of tidied, swept, that kind of thing. So this is the first time since everybody left Sunday that I've really cleaned a little more thoroughly. The first few days, to be honest, I was kind of depressed. It's not depressed. It's just kind of a letdown. Like there's so much work to do, so much anticipation before the holidays, so many emotions, good and bad. And then everybody came, and so my first set came 2 days ago, a week ago, and by tonight, everybody was here. And I was just thinking as I was doing this, like, it's hard to believe that a week ago I had everyone here with me. Little kids running around, having fun, playing hide and seek. Yeah, so anyway, so I didn't have to cook today because I had lots of leftovers and it's just a couple of us here tonight. So I decided to make this focaccia, and it was kind of a good motivator to get me doing something, and see how it turns out. Anyway, so I've got approximately 7 minutes. I'm going to check it when the timer goes off. If I still think it needs to be brown more, I will leave it in for another couple minutes. But I will be back as I take it out of the oven and we see how this turned out. So I'm taking this out a couple minutes early because it's starting to look pretty brown. I want it crispy, I don't want it burnt. So I want to take it out a little bit early. The thing with this is you have to get it out onto a cooling rack right away, or you're going to lose the crispiness on the bottom. I mean, it shouldn't stick. There's enough oil in here to fill an oil tanker. Actually, I'm going to put it back in. I'm going to put it on the bottom because the bottom isn't quite as crispy. Oh no, it's crispy. Okay, we're taking it out. So it's about the right thickness that I wanted it. So I'm going to leave it cool. It has to cool for a bit, and then I'll cut it open and we'll see what it looks like inside. Okay guys, so it is time to test this out. So it's still warm, and I will put it back on the rack to completely cool, but I just want to try it. So let's go right through the middle. It is crispy. And fluffy. And so pillowy inside. That's good. Just a little taste test. It's so light and fluffy. That is really good. Okay, I'm gonna put it back on my rack so it can finish cooling. That turned out amazing. Try it. That is so good. So fluffy. You can taste the rosemary, the garlic. Oh my gosh, that's good. Okay, well, let me know if you try it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if it has any value for you, if you'd like to try some of the other recipes on my channel, you know, hit subscribe, hit the subscribe button down below. There'll be a notification bell, hit the all notifications so that you don't miss anything. I don't have a lot. I need to plan what I'm going to do going forward. I know the next thing I'd like to do is get some microgreens growing. The price of fresh vegetables is ridiculous. Microgreens are so incredibly nutritious, and I'll put a link up there for some of the videos I did the last year when I started doing microgreens. It's such a nutrition dense green. It's so nutritious. You don't need much to get a lot of vitamins and a lot of everything that's in those plants. So yeah, that's going to be coming up. I don't know if it'll be next, but it will be soon. And if you guys have ideas of something you want to see, you want me to try, it doesn't have to be, you know, something that I've done already. We can experiment together. But anyway, I would love to know if you make this or any of my other recipes. Leave comments down below. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. And let's make 2023 where we begin to make some really good meals in the kitchen for our families, from fresh ingredients, from whole ingredients, and yeah, up our nutrition levels this year.